You are tuned in to She's Crowned with Confidence with host Dr. Nicole Steele. This Power Pack podcast was designed to remind listeners of who and whose they are and to encourage, equip, and empower them to regain their confidence and reclaim their crown. Are you ready to fully embrace what makes you uniquely you? Gain clarity on what you were created to do and to show up in the world unapologetic and authentic through and through? Well, if so, then this podcast is for you. It's time to regain your confidence and reclaim your proverbial crown that was designed with you in mind. No longer second guessing the greatness that lies within, but instead stepping all the way into it with newfound clarity, confidence, and courage. So, without further ado, it's time to adjust your crown and sit on down for another inspiring episode of She's Crowned with Confidence. Hello, welcome to another episode of She's Crowned with Confidence. I'm your host, Dr. Nicole Steele, the confidence coach. And for anybody who is tuning in for the first time, we are glad to have you. Of course, for the tribe that matches my vibe, you already know how we do it here. I love sharing this platform, this project in particular, as many of you know, is part of a larger kind of movement, if you will, that is focused on helping women and girls of all ages be reminded of who and whose they are. And so I'm excited today on the She's Crowned with Confidence cast to welcome the one and only Coach K. So Coach K, I'm telling you, you are a multifaceted individual. I cannot wait for our community to learn about this great work that you are doing. So if you would, kindly introduce yourself and tell our listeners a little bit about you.
Thank you, Dr. Steele. I appreciate you. And just so happy to be here. My name is Kisha Woods, aka Coach K Woods. I'm the founder and CEO of Upgraded Mindsets LLC. I am a transformational mindset coach. I'm an author. I am a podcaster. Pretty much all around serial entrepreneur. I carry a primary purpose of helping women get out of our outdated thinking methods that sometimes keep us hindered in our past and our struggles, and just helping them really begin the journey to break free so they can live a really satisfying and fulfilling life for themselves, personally, professionally, entrepreneurially. I work with women on all levels. I am somebody who has always been a supportive person, but my own personal struggles of the past kept me supporting from a place of havoc. And I've kind of done I'll say a lot of inner work and reconditioning of my mind, really figuring out who I am individually so I can elevate on a personal as well as professional level. And I created Upgraded Mindsets along that journey. So just being able to be a part of women's lives, inspiring, empowering, uplifting, in any way I can, whether it's through coaching, mentoring, podcasting, volunteering. As long as I'm doing and walking in that purpose, I'm complete. I'm complete.
I love it. I want to put a whole pin because we are going to spend a lot of time today talking about mindset, because mindset matters, especially when it comes to the things that we've been called to do. You know, people strive to have confidence and to walk in confidence, but it all starts right here. It's not about what other people think and what other people say. It starts right between these ears. And if we don't do what you just talked about, is our own personal work. And it's a constant work. I mean, as a confidence coach, I still work on it daily.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But we have got to renew our mind. We've got to keep our mind focused. We've got to watch our gates and the things that we allow to enter our minds, because it all matters. So let's What got you in this space to do this work and to really focus on mindsets in particular?
Well, I back in 2020, had I'll probably say that was the beginning of the breakthrough for me. But years before that, I had always been a people pleaser. If you
Mm-hmm.
want to just put it in simplistic terms, I looked at that as a sense of saying, oh, if I do for everybody else, I'll get my blessings that way, which isn't all the way right anymore. So what happened is I lost my grandmother and didn't properly grieve that. And that was back when I was 21 years old. I had the stigma of I'm just going to be strong through everything. I didn't want to disclose my emotions, so I'm just going to be strong. Losing my grandmother in 2021, just being an all around teen mom, just going through a lot of traumatizing things as a youth, as a young adult. And then I think the biggest blow for me was losing my sister in 2009. My sister passed away from heart failure, and I acquired two children. Her two boys, I took them in with no hesitation. Looking back, there was no hesitation, but it also came with the fact of me not grieving. I did not grieve the death of my sister because I had to keep being strong. So keep going with that. I was diagnosed with cancer in 2016. And again, through my chemo and radiation treatments, I still was the strong person. I still was doing for everybody else, sick, sleepy, tired, drained, just continuing to go because that's what society depicted that I should be doing. And just overall going through all of those things, 2020, fast forward to that, I had reached a breaking point. I was so frustrated with my life. I was angry all the time. I was always just lashing out at people for the smallest reasons. But once I began the journey, therapeutic intervention, coaching, mentoring, taking in the support that in the beginning thought I didn't need, I realized that I was suppressing and I was angry because I wasn't living my life how I wanted to live it.
Wow.
So it just really, the beginning of the pandemic is really what I think triggered me to say, I've got to do something, because I got to the point where I was thinking about harming myself or others. And I'll put that disclaimer out that if you ever have those type of thoughts, please reach out to somebody immediately. But that was really my turning point. I had to get accountable for a lot of things that not only had went on in my life, but a lot of things that I allowed in my life,
Mm.
which actually gave me a distorted sense of confidence, because again, I felt like, oh, well, I'm doing for everybody, so I'm confident that, I'm going to get that back. And I wasn't fulfilling myself.
Yeah.
So March of 2020 began that journey for me.
Mm. I tell you, one of the times that everybody in around the world, I mean, who could have, uh, who in the world could have known that any of us would have experienced a global
Okay.
pandemic? But yet, I'm talking to people around the globe that talk about what a pivotal time 2020 was, what a time of reflection and time of change. They talk about the pivot. So many people made personal pivots and internal pivots. It was something. So I'm grateful that you're now on the other side. When you said a couple of things. So one of the things that you made mention of is when that awareness began to rise in you, that you took advantage of and you invested really in yourself. You mentioned coaches, you talked about counselors, you talked about different things. And I think it's really important for listeners out there who may be trying to do it all themselves. Listen, we were not meant to
That
do life
part.
alone.
That
My pastor, Dr. Darius Daniels, he says, oh gosh, and of course I didn't miss the quote, but he says,
part.
oh gosh, basically what the premise of what he says is that to live our best life, we're not to live it by ourselves. He doesn't say it like that. He says it
Right,
with
right.
love.
I got you.
But anyway, the point is
Hmm.
that we were not meant to do life alone. So
Yes.
as women, and you made mention earlier about being strong, and
Mhm.
especially for Black and brown women in particular, women
Yes.
period, but especially in the Black and brown community, that is oftentimes worn as a badge. I'm
Mhm.
a strong Black woman, I'm a
Yes.
strong woman of color. You are strong, but that does not mean that you got to do this thing on your own. We are
Exactly.
not invincible. So
No.
when you think about coming to that reality, can you share a little bit more about the people that you put in place in your life? Who did you pull on? Not necessarily right down to the name of
Right,
the
right.
person, but who was important in your healing journey? Um,
Um,
Personally.
I had to like really reach out to outside support. And
Mm,
that's one thing that, our culture also says is you don't go outside and ask for help. You better not take this outside of the house.
mhm,
And I really had to say, I sent a group text to my family and I said, I have to really fall back for a little bit because I'm going to hurt somebody.
mm,
And that was really the text message because I had really reached my breaking point. I cried for hours, just because I was so mad at myself for not being where I felt I should be in life at that time.
mhm,
So at the time, I had a couple of outside friends that I really poured into. I kind of took a chance and poured into them. And that was one of the best things that I ever done because they also put me in to the therapeutic side of things. Let's go ahead and reach out. Let me send you some resources. So I'm forever grateful for taking that chance. And
yes.
then they actually are still kind of my coach and mentor to this day, because I have complete trust that I can go to them whenever I'm having a down moment, whenever I'm having a clouded moment, along with the other growth and development resources that I utilize now. But that's still like my number one go-to.
That's
The
wonderful.
accountability was probably the worst thing that they actually made me have to understand. You got to get accountable, Kisha. You got to get accountable. And I don't want to get accountable. I don't want to get accountable. I want to blame everybody else. I don't want that.
Mhm,
And I think that was probably the ugliest time
mhm.
because I had to finally accept that. But once I
Yeah,
did, those clouds were just started pushing away, and
wonderful.
I was starting to see things for what it was. And at that moment, it also was, I want to be that person that I didn't have before. And
Yes.
that's when I decided to become a coach. I took a 30-day fast from social media in April of 2020, and I actually journaled every day for 30 days. I had wrote an open letter to myself, basically talking about why I felt like I was so mad then, and it even went back to childhood.
Mhm,
But all of that had to happen, and it was ugly. I will not sugarcoat that in no way,
mhm,
shape, or
mhm.
form. It was so ugly, but it was so necessary.
Yes.
And once I began that, things started opening up. And during that 30-day fast from social media, I created my business name, Upgraded Mindsets, because that's what I was doing for myself. So it
Wow.
was like, I've got to start teaching others and showing others the process of breaking free from the outdated thinking, from the restricted thinking, from somebody else's thoughts, not following
Mhm.
your own. And that's really why I became a mindset coach, because I want us to really all adapt and use our mind, because our mind is where everything begins. Every
Yes.
choice, every decision, every thought, everything. And I want us to be able to be confident in knowing that we're making those best decisions and standing on them 10 toes down.
That's right. Without apology. Yes, ma'am. I love the fact that you shared the fast that you did on social media because while technology is wonderful,
Yes.
I tell you, it can
Mhm.
hang so many people and so much noise out
Yes.
there. And it is important on a regular basis
It
to
is.
put pause. You know what I mean? It can be all consuming and we can lose ourselves and we can be so confused listening to the voices and in many instances the wrong voices
That part.
where we are blinded by and can't even hear our own. So I love the fact that you make mention of that. And if there's somebody who's listening who's never done that, even if you think in your mind, I can't do 30 days, try 5,
Try five.
try
Try
7,
one.
try two
One day
weeks.
can be that helpful. You'll get some type of clarity for 24 hours. Not looking at that, you just don't realize how much that can open up so many aspects of your brain because there's something you got to focus on something else besides that screen all day.
Yes, ma'am. The other thing that I really appreciate you sharing is how, again, you had to go outside of
Yes,
your immediate circle. And that's a really scary
it
thing.
is.
Me and my purpose partner, Dr. Dion Parker, we talk about, the different ponds that we're in different seasons of our life. And it's important to
It
continue to grow and to swim and expand and to surround ourselves with like-minded people in the season that
absolutely.
we're in. And it's painful, it is so
Ooh,
painful when in certain seasons the people you want to go with you, they may not be ready, they may not want to go, they may not be ready to do their work, whatever that is, but you're not responsible for them, you're
yeah,
responsible for you. So kudos to you for making the hard choices
yeah,
and decisions and putting Coach K first. She said,
yeah,
hey, what they say on the plane, put your mask on first.
yeah, they do. You can't
And
help without being with your mask not being on.
that part right there. So
Super
good,
important.
yeah, good for you.
Thank
And
you.
and kudos to I'm assuming to your family or friend group or whoever when
Yeah,
you said, listen, I gotta fall back. Kudos for them allowing you to do that.
yeah.
You know
And
what I mean?
there
And
was
I
some
don't.
restriction there. There was a little, and I'm very transparent in my story, and my family, knows that. But there was some restriction in the beginning. It took a lot of boundary setting. It took a lot of standing firm. Not allowing the outside influences to deter or distract. And I won't say that I had 100% success rate on that. I am human, but the intention is what matters every single day. The intention of knowing that I'm going to do what it takes today to stay the most empowering version of myself, to continue to grow, to continue to build that inner confidence, because the confidence
Mhm.
comes from within
Come on,
first.
come on.
And just knowing that it all comes from me, not seeking that outside validation. Because
Mhm.
when our minds are restricted, that's what we believe. We believe that we have to get validated from somebody else. We believe that we have to, tell me, I want to post a picture. I want to see how many likes I get, on social media and stuff like that. That's not where your confidence comes from. It comes
Come
from
on.
within first. And that involves reconditioning this, realigning this, getting these in sync with each other, being able to stand confident on decisions. And listen, the journey is necessary for that. We got to make that
Mhm.
happen. And the attention has to be every day. No days off when it
Yeah.
comes to the intention.
No days off. Another person that speaks into my life is out of North Carolina, Pastor Stephen Furtick. He has this quote that has just been resonating with me for the last couple of weeks. And it says, if you live for um he didn't say the kudos. Girl, I'm messing up everybody's quote. But basically, if you are looking for people, if you are living for the your confidence to come from other people, you'll die by the critics. You know what I
Yes,
mean? If you're living for the likes, you will be at your wits end when it comes to those that don't like you. So that's too much power
it
to
is.
give to anybody, and it's exhausting. And
Very
you
much
talked
so.
about being a former people pleaser, and I know all about that because for so long, that's part of the reason I'm in this space right now.
Yeah.
For so long in my life, I put more weight on what other people thought about me than what I thought about myself, and more importantly, what God thought about me. And it
Yes,
is truly exhausting. It
very.
is so exhausting. So we've got to continue to do our work. We've got to share the fact that we're doing the work to encourage others and have no shame in it, really.
Absolutely.
And in all honesty, we'll be doing this until we take our last breath, because
And that
nobody
is the
ever arrives. You know
mm,
what I mean? It's a constant. You should
constant
be
growth
going
journey.
from one level of glory to the next, to the next. And self-awareness and mindset matter.
It
Really,
does.
really does.
Very much so. Just to be also to remember that everybody may not be meaning to step into that next season with you, to step
Right.
into that next journey with you. I have been blessed to be able to create, like you say, you have purpose partner. I have two purpose partners myself. And just being able to have that non-judgmental safe space, being able to have those conversations and not be worried about the reactions after the
Mhm.
fact. It's genuine support. It's super important for us to build that. And although we want our family and friends to be those people for us most of the time, we have to admit that they're sometimes biased. And it's not a malice bias. It's just they're biased because they know us. They've been around us. So sometimes to get that outside influence, as I said earlier, was the most important thing to help me in my transformation. So just be okay with getting that little bit uncomfortable. It's not going to last forever.
Yeah,
Just making that shift, but just knowing that having outside, supportive groups, from fellow coaches to, purpose partners, to other entrepreneurs, period. As a full-time entrepreneur, I want to surround myself around like-minded, which would be entrepreneurs. Not saying that I can't deal with people in corporate America, but to have those conversations, I want to be around other entrepreneurs. So,
that's right.
yeah, it's
It
just super.
drives you. It fuels you. It fuels that passion. There's something about people that are in that same space
Yes,
mentally. And then when you throw in that A word you talked about, which is accountability,
come
you know
on.
what I mean? It's a
Yes,
game changer. So when you get with the right people, because you can't share all the things with
yeah,
all of the people, but once you identify your tribe, who your people are, it can be amazing.
yes,
It can be amazing because in those instances, those people are not, I guess, intimidated by your brilliance is
yep.
really, and so you don't have to dim down. You don't have to try and mold yourself and, you know, mood manage people, because they doing their own thing. They're real comfortable, but they're also seeing the greatness that's in you and pushing you to that greatness. So yeah, it
Yep.
is so important. And I encourage people often to do a mental audit,
Mm-hmm.
in certain seasons. And I kid you not, and I teach girls this in the nonprofit that I am the founder of. But I tell girls, at least at the top of the year, if not twice a year, you need to go through that phone,
Yes,
and
indeed.
you need to be looking, and you need to ask yourself, does this person, do they bring me
Yeah.
life? Do they is this, or am I drained? Is this person good for me in this season or not? And if they are not, there are two buttons that work on every type of device, whether you're an Android person or whether you are an iPhone person, and those two buttons are block and delete.
Come on.
So they work.
And they do. They
Yeah,
most definitely do.
yeah.
Getting out of those zones of the twisted sense of loyalty is what I call it.
Mm,
And this is
mm.
what I kind of teach my clients too, because it's like we have that twisted sense of loyalty that because we may have known somebody for a long time, or that they are family, or, that they feel like that they've been around for a long time, that we're supposed to continuously accept the havoc, the toxicity, especially when we're trying to work towards breaking free from that. We
Mhm.
have that twisted sense of obligation that we're supposed to continue to accept it because of who people are. I am here to tell you that is outdated.
Come
We don't think
on.
like that anymore. We
That's
are putting our mental awareness first, our self awareness, as you said earlier, first, because once you put your self awareness first, you're going to be able to pick up on and heighten your outside intuition to say, oh, okay, this ain't right for me. This is not in my season. I'm going to be able to make those decisions confidently. I love that you teach that confidence on the multi levels that you do, because it does start with our inner confidence
Yeah.
first.
Yes. And the reason I go so hard, especially for the younger ones, is the sooner we can grasp that, the sooner we can
Yes.
tap into that personal power, get our minds right. Oh my gosh, watch out,
Mhm.
world. I didn't come into this understanding and knowing until I was in my mid-20s.
Yeah.
But even for somebody who might be listening, it's like, over
It's
50,
never too late to
60,
elevate.
that part right there. Never,
Yes.
ever, ever. And we have to do it in different seasons
Yes.
because, people, when they think about confidence, you can be confident. Me and my one of my other purpose partners, Dr. Audrey McDaniel, we talk about how you can be confident in one area, but
Yes.
you can lack confidence in another. So
Come
when
on.
you talk about, in different seasons relationally, whether it's as a spouse, as a parent, in different relationships, friendships, of course, in the workforce,
Right.
different seasons of life. But being able to, like you said, first be aware. How am I feeling? What is that?
Mhm.
Yeah. Get in that mirror, do your work, get your people along so that you can have that safe place to clean your proverbial crown.
Yes.
And just remember that there's work to do, not just inner work, but we got to be our best selves so we show up as our best selves
Yes,
in
indeed.
this world, because there's a destiny and purpose assigned to each one of us.
Mhm.
So as
Indeed.
we get ready to close out, let's talk about some of the incredible things you're doing. I know that you are an author, an award-winning author.
Yes.
You got a podcast of your own. Of course, you made mention of coaching and things like that. So tell our listeners how they can connect and what things they can look forward to from Coach K in the coming months.
Well, I actually have initiated what I call growth over everything. And growth stands for gratitude, resilience, optimistic, well being, thriving, happiness over everything.
All right.
I have initiated these once a month meetings here in person, locally in my city.
And
Every
what city are you in?
I am in Peoria, Illinois.
Okay.
And I have those on every third Wednesday locally, but I also have the virtual option every third Thursday of the month. You can register for that on my website, which is www.upgradedmindsetswiththez.life. I have my online store, which offers positive, inspired apparel, self-development workbooks. You can get shirts, hoodies, mugs, all with empowering quotes on there. I have my self-development ebooks over there. That store is upgradedmindsets.shop. And then you have my Amazon bestseller, which I actually do have a copy in front of me. I had to make sure. It is From Havoc to Healing, 30 Days of Reconditioning. And this is my Amazon bestseller that pretty much dictates the first 30 days of the mindset transformational journey that I began for myself. It tells you the thoughts that are going through my head at that time. And baby, there's a lot of thoughts, but also just some of the tools and the resources and the feedback that I was using. But then I also have sections in here where you can have your own self-reflective moments. If a page inspired you, if a chapter inspired you, just all about being a place for you to be able to start making those transformational shifts, getting accountable and saying, hey, it's time for me to make these changes. And then, like I said, just being a youth, I am a mentor to youth girls. I'll be starting that back up with a collaborative effort for the school year. Just all around being that empowering, inspiring individual that I wanted for myself. And I pretty much walk that every day. I have the Empowering Real Talk podcast, which streams on YouTube. It's on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, all those other ones. And the new season actually kicks off in September, October. So new seasons, but there's a couple seasons on there. Please go check them out. Raw, uncut, but necessary conversations. I
Um,
love
so just
it. continuing to, do what it is that I do. I do offer one-on-one as well as group coaching. So any way that you like to reach out, you can go to my website, upgradedmindsets.life. There's a complimentary chat button at the top. If you just need to have a 30-minute supportive conversation, I'm here. If you want to talk to me about being on the podcast, I'm here. If you want to set up a time to discuss the services and programs that are available to you as a personal growth, under entrepreneurial growth, just all about being that individual to empower us women and take us to the next level. So definitely a busy girl.
I love it. Now, are you on social as well? Can they find you?
Thank you. I am on Coach KAYWDS, as you see on the screen here. It is on all socials: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and then I also have an Empowering Real Talk podcast Instagram as well. So you can definitely find me, but Coach KAYWDS is the easiest one, and you'll find all my other spaces under that. So, and then of course you can Google too, Upgraded Mindsets, Empowering Real Talk. I got you.
Okay. I love it. You are doing great things. So if any of our listeners happen to be somewhere that they weren't able to catch it, you can find the information. You can log on. You can, of course, visit wherever you're watching this podcast. We got notes down below. So make sure that you take notes and that you share it with those friends. If this Confidence Cast has been a blessing to you, if you got some nuggets that you're going to put aside and utilize for yourself, by all means, share your comments, like, subscribe. We would love to hear from you. And if you have not had a chance to get your hands on the book that is really the basis of this podcast, it's The Tale of 10 Crowns, my latest release. You can find that on Amazon. You can find information at shescrownedwithconfidence.com or on my personal website, where you can learn not only about this book, but as well about my coaching services, or join our clear, confident, and courageous community, the Beyond Brilliant Network. If you enjoyed this, if you are looking for, again, a tribe that shares your vibe, meet us over there and connect with us as well. So, Coach K, it has been a delight. Continued success to you and this incredible work that you're doing. And thank you so much for helping our listeners know how they can reposition that crown of confidence, honey.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. God bless.
You as well.
Thank you for tuning in to She's Crowned with Confidence with Dr. Nicole Steele, the Confidence Coach. This Confidence Cast has been brought to you in part by Diamond in the Rough Youth Development Program and Gym Makers LLC. For more information on this podcast, previous episodes, programs, or products, simply visit shescrownedwithconfidence.com or therealnicolesteele.com. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Nicole Steele. Thank you.